Welcome to the deep dive. You're probably like me, hearing nonstop about AI, and you want to get past the buzzwords and really understand what matters, especially when it comes to keeping our online lives safe and secure. So that's exactly what we're doing today. We're taking a deep dive into AI-powered cybersecurity.
That's right. We've sifted through a lot of articles and research to bring you the crucial insights on how artificial intelligence is currently being used, to defend against the growing tide of sophisticated cyber threats. Our goal is to really unpack what AI can and can't do in this field, explore the practical realities, and give you a clear picture of what the future might hold.
And it feels like every conversation about staying secure online now involves AI. I mean, the sheer number and complexity of attacks are exploding, and increasingly, it seems, it's AI on the other side, too. Some reports even suggest around 85% of recent attacks involved adversaries using AI. It really does feel like a technological arms race, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, yeah. And to understand where we stand now, it's helpful to have a little historical context. The introduction of AI into cybersecurity wasn't overnight. It's been a gradual process. Early systems relied on what we called heuristic-based rules, essentially. Simple, if this happens, then do that kinds of instructions to catch known malicious activity.
Okay, so like setting up digital tripwires for very specific threats we already knew about.
Precisely. But as attacks became more intricate, back in the early 2000s, AI started to take on a more significant role. It began shifting towards trying to predict and ideally prevent attacks. Then the 2010s were a real turning point. The rise of machine learning and the availability of just massive data sets. This allowed security systems to analyze huge amounts of information, leading to much better detection rates and, thankfully, fewer of those annoying false alarms.
Okay, this machine learning concept keeps popping up everywhere. Let's really unpack its core value here in cybersecurity. What are the fundamental AI techniques being used right now in this fight?
Well, at its core, we're seeing techniques like predictive analytics trying to forecast future attacks, automated threat hunting, and behavioral analysis, which looks for deviations from, normal activity. And the engine powering pretty much all of this is largely machine learning.
So machine learning is the key driver. Now, I know there are different flavors, different approaches within machine learning. Can you give us a quick cybersecurity-focused overview?
Certainly. Let's start with supervised learning. Imagine teaching a system using examples where you already know the answer. So like labeling emails as spam or not spam. The system learns to classify new, unseen emails based on these labeled examples. The real power here isn't just identifying known spam types, but in the generalization recognizing new spam based on learned patterns. However, it really relies heavily on having good, accurately labeled data.
Got it. So if your training examples aren't good, the results won't be very reliable. Garbage in, garbage out kind of thing. What about unsupervised learning then?
Right. Unsupervised learning is like giving an AI system a huge pile of data without any labels and just asking it to find patterns on its own. In cybersecurity, this is incredibly useful for anomaly detection, spotting unusual activity that might indicate a threat. Think of a network where, say, a user suddenly starts downloading massive amounts of data to an external server late at night. Unsupervised learning can flag that as way out of the ordinary. The catch, though, is that because there are no predefined labels, these flagged anomalies often need a human to step in and verify them, to avoid reacting to normal but maybe just unusual behavior, false positives.
That makes sense. It's like a digital bloodhound sniffing out anything that smells funny, but you still need a human handler to confirm if it's actually a burglar.
Hmm.
And then there's reinforcement learning. That one sounds pretty advanced.
It is, yeah. It's a more dynamic approach. Reinforcement learning involves an AI agent learning to make optimal decisions within an environment. It does this by trying different actions and receiving rewards or penalties based on the outcomes. Think of it like teaching a self-driving car to navigate traffic.
Yeah.
You reward it for staying in its lane and penalize it for going off-road. In cybersecurity, this can be used to fine-tune security configuration, things like firewall rules, by continuously learning what the most effective settings are in different dynamically changing situations.
Fascinating. So all this machine learning capability, it fuels automated threat detection and response. How does that actually work on a practical level? How does it keep systems secure day to day?
Well, AI systems can continuously monitor network traffic, system logs, user activity, just tons of data streams. They're looking for those unusual behaviors we just discussed. They can process these vast amounts of data much, much faster than any human team could ever hope to, identifying potential attacks practically in real time. What's particularly interesting now is the use of advanced visualization tools. These tools present the automated findings clearly to human security analysts. This allows for really crucial human oversight and collaboration. And a huge benefit is that it significantly reduces the workload on IT and security teams, freeing them up to focus on more strategic, complex security challenges instead of wading through alerts.
It's like having a tireless, always-on security analyst watching everything 24/7. Now, where are we actually seeing AI being used most effectively in the real-world cybersecurity landscape right now? Can you give us some tangible examples?
Oh, absolutely. The applications are quite diverse. One key area is, as we've touched on, threat detection itself. AI analyzes these massive volumes of data in real time, looking at network traffic, system logs, user activity to identify patterns and anomalies that could signal an attack. And this includes spotting those completely new, zero-day, never-before-seen threats that might just slip right past traditional signature-based antivirus defenses.
So it's not just looking for known bad guys, it's looking for anything that seems suspicious or out of place.
Exactly. For instance, AI can identify really sophisticated phishing attempts. It looks at subtle clues in emails, things like unusual sender addresses, slight discrepancies in linked website domains, maybe the tone of the language used, things a human might miss.
Okay.
Predictive analytics is another major application. By analyzing historical attack data and current threat trends, AI can actually anticipate potential future threats. This allows organizations to proactively strengthen their defenses before an attack happens. Think of it as analyzing past weather patterns to prepare for a potential hurricane, but for cyber threats.
That's like having a cyber threat weather forecast. Very cool. What about when an attack actually happens? How does AI step in then?
Right, that's where automated incident response comes into play. AI can rapidly analyze the data related to a detected attack. It helps security teams understand what happened, the scope of the breach, maybe which systems are affected, and crucially, the best course of action to take. This dramatically speeds up the whole process of containing and resolving incidents. It saves valuable time, resources, and potentially reduces damage. It also ensures a much more consistent and dynamic approach to managing these security events.
So instead of a potentially chaotic manual scramble, AI can help orchestrate a more efficient and targeted response.
Precisely. Then we have behavioral analysis, which, as we sort of discussed with unsupervised learning, establishes a baseline of normal system and user behavior. What does normal look like on this network for this user? Any significant deviation from that established baseline can be flagged as potentially malicious. This allows for quicker responses and seriously reduces the likelihood of a successful breach going unnoticed for days or weeks.
Right.
And let's not forget data protection and compliance. AI can assist in enforcing encryption protocols and access controls, making sure sensitive data stays protected according to policy. It can also automate many of the, frankly, tedious tasks associated with compliance management, tracking configurations, generating reports. This reduces administrative overhead and helps organizations demonstrate their security efforts to auditors or regulators.
It really does sound like AI offers a pretty comprehensive set of advantages. Can we maybe summarize the key benefits it brings to the table for cybersecurity?
Absolutely. We've already talked quite a bit about predictive analytics, that really valuable proactive approach to mitigating risks before they materialize.
Then there's the automation of those routine, repetitive tasks. Things like monitoring network status updates, doing initial log sifting, checking firewall configurations. This frees up skilled human analysts to focus on the more complex strategic work, like in-depth threat analysis or investigating sophisticated fraud rings.
Yeah, the higher value stuff. Exactly. And of course, enhanced threat detection is a major. Plus, that ability to analyze vast amounts of data from all sorts of sources, network traffic, logs, user behavior, external threat intelligence, and identify both known and completely new threats much more effectively than traditional methods. AI also significantly streamlines compliance and documentation. It can automatically generate audit trails and flag potential regulatory violations, which is huge for regulated industries. And finally, in a field that's constantly facing a significant shortage of skilled professionals, AI can handle many of the routine administrative burdens. This allows the human cybersecurity experts we do have to concentrate on the higher-level, critical thinking tasks, the strategic initiatives. It's actually quite telling that a large percentage, something like 68% of cybersecurity teams expect to be effectively utilizing AI within the next couple of years. They see the need.
Those are some really compelling advantages. Definitely see the appeal. But, with any technology this powerful, especially when dealing with security and data, there must be some significant challenges and limitations we need to be aware of.
Oh, absolutely. That's very true. One key area we already touched on is the potential for false positives. That's where AI systems incorrectly identify legitimate, harmless activity as a threat. This can lead to alert fatigue for security teams. If they're constantly chasing ghosts, they might eventually overlook a genuine attack buried in the noise.
Right, the boy who cried a wolf effect.
Exactly. Another significant challenge lies in adversarial attacks. Cybercriminals are smart, and they're constantly developing ways to manipulate data specifically to deceive AI systems. They try to trick the AI into making the wrong decisions. Think of attackers crafting slightly modified malicious files or generating network traffic that looks normal but is designed specifically to fool the AI's detection algorithms. This means AI models require ongoing refinement, retraining, and adaptation just to stay ahead, or even keep pace with these evolving adversarial tactics.
So it's definitely not a set it and forget it kind of solution. It needs constant care and feeding, continuous updates. Let's talk a bit more about the practical side of putting this into place. What are some of the specific hurdles organizations often face when trying to implement AI in cybersecurity?
Well, a big one is data. The effectiveness of AI in cybersecurity is heavily reliant on the quality and quantity of the data it's trained on. If the data is incomplete, inaccurate, or worse, biased, the AI's performance will suffer significantly.
Okay, so data quality is paramount.
Paramount. Then there's integration. Integrating these often complex AI systems with existing security infrastructure firewalls, endpoint solutions, SIEMs, can be a really complex and costly undertaking. It's rarely just a plug-and-play solution. And you need skilled personnel. You need people who can manage, maintain, and interpret the outputs of these advanced AI systems effectively. There's a skills gap there, too. Furthermore, as we know, the cybersecurity landscape is constantly changing. New threats, new attacker techniques emerge all the time. AI models need to be continuously retrained and updated to remain effective against these evolving threats, which is an ongoing operational cost and effort.
So it's a pretty significant ongoing investment, not just in the tech itself, but also in the data pipelines and the human expertise needed to run it. Okay, now let's shift gears a bit. We've talked theory, benefits, challenges. Let's dive into some specific use cases. Where are we actually seeing AI make a real, tangible difference in cybersecurity today?
Certainly. One really compelling example is in email security. AI-powered systems are now highly effective, much more so than older methods, at identifying and blocking sophisticated phishing attacks, the kind that traditional signature-based filters might easily miss. They analyze various factors beyond just keywords in the email content. They look at the sender's reputation, the linguistic patterns used, the structure of the email, the context, all to determine its legitimacy with much higher accuracy.
So it's looking beyond just matching known bad links or phrases to really understand the intent behind the email.
Exactly, intent and context. Another key area is network security. AI algorithms, particularly unsupervised learning ones, can analyze network traffic patterns in real time to detect anomalies. Things that could indicate a cyber intrusion, like malware beaconing out or unauthorized data exfiltration. By establishing that baseline of normal network behavior we talked about, AI can quickly flag any unusual activity for investigation. Think of a sudden spike in encrypted data being transmitted to an unfamiliar server abroad during off hours. AI can identify that as a potential red flag much faster than manual analysis.
That sounds like a critical capability, especially for catching attacks that are already in progress inside the network. What about protecting individual devices, laptops, servers, phones,
Yeah.
endpoints?
Absolutely. AI is being heavily integrated into endpoint security solutions, EDR, endpoint protection platforms. These AI-powered systems analyze the behavior of applications and files running on a device. They look for suspicious patterns of activity, like a Word document suddenly trying to encrypt files, or connect to a known command and control server to identify and block malicious software. Even if it's a completely new, previously unknown type of malware, a zero-day threat, they're looking for bad behavior, not just known bad signatures.
So again, a more proactive, behavior-based approach to protecting those individual devices. Are there any other notable applications of AI in cybersecurity that stood out in your research?
Yes, definitely in the growing field of cloud security. As more organizations move assets to the cloud, securing those environments is critical. Platforms like Prisma Cloud from Palo Alto Networks or Microsoft Defender for Cloud, they integrate AI quite deeply. AI helps provide comprehensive protection for cloud-based assets. It can analyze cloud configurations for misconfigurations, identify vulnerabilities specific to cloud services, and detect threats moving laterally within the cloud environment. Prisma Cloud even refers to AI as a force multiplier in attack surface management, helping security teams more efficiently identify and address potential weaknesses across their sprawling cloud footprints.
A force multiplier, I like that.
Yeah. And it's also worth noting that trend we touched on earlier, the move towards best-of-suite security offerings. Major vendors are integrating AI deeply across their entire portfolio of security products, network, endpoint, cloud, email, everything. This integrated approach, powered by shared AI and threat intelligence, is becoming a key differentiator in the market. We're
Well,
seeing fewer brand new cybersecurity startups, maybe indicating some market maturation around these integrated platforms.
It really sounds like AI is becoming less of an add-on and more of an increasingly foundational element of modern cybersecurity strategies. Okay, so looking towards the future now, what are some of the key trends we should be keeping an eye on in this continuous evolution of AI and cybersecurity?
Well, one significant and, frankly, slightly worrying trend is the continued advancement of AI-driven threats. We're already seeing attackers use AI to automate reconnaissance, craft much more convincing, personalized phishing and social engineering campaigns, find vulnerabilities faster, and even develop malware that can actively evade existing AI-powered defenses.
Oh, great.
Yeah. This means that the development of even more sophisticated, adaptable, and perhaps fundamentally different AI-powered defenses will be absolutely crucial just to keep pace. The arms race definitely continues, maybe even accelerates. We also need to consider the interplay between AI and things like quantum computing down the line. Quantum could potentially break current encryption, making AI's role in developing quantum-resistant security even more vital.
So the arms race just keeps escalating, with AI playing on both sides of the fence. What other future developments do you foresee impacting this space? Privacy must still be a huge concern, right?
Absolutely huge. The tension between leveraging data for security, which AI needs, and protecting individual privacy rights is only going to intensify. Organizations need to navigate complex data protection regulations like GDPR, CCPA, and others, which are also evolving. There will likely be a greater emphasis on privacy-preserving AI techniques, ways to train models effectively without exposing sensitive raw data, understanding privacy not just as compliance, but as fundamental individual control over personal information will be key. We're also likely to see a greater emphasis on proactive threat intelligence powered by AI. By analyzing vast amounts of data from diverse global sources, dark web monitoring, attack trends, geopolitical factors, AI can help organizations better understand the evolving threat landscape and anticipate future attack campaigns, allowing for more preventative strategic defense postures. And another major trend is the growing adoption of zero-trust security architectures.
Ah, yes, zero trust. Heard a lot about that.
Right. It operates on the principle of never trust, always verify. Assume threats could be internal or external. Don't grant access based just on network location. AI is really key to implementing and managing zero-trust environments effectively. It can continuously monitor user behavior, device health, context, and dynamically adjust access privileges based on real-time risk assessment. This is particularly relevant, perhaps has high potential, for maybe middle-market companies that often have complex, fragmented legacy systems where implementing zero-trust manually would be incredibly difficult. AI providers can really facilitate that adoption.
Okay, so moving away from perimeter defense towards continuous verification enabled by AI. And what about the people, the cyber workforce? How is AI changing the skills needed?
That's a critical point. The skills gap in cybersecurity is well known, but AI is shifting what skills are most needed. While technical knowledge remains crucial, there's a growing prioritization of soft skills, things like creativity, critical thinking, communication, curiosity. Security professionals need to be able to collaborate with AI tools, interpret their findings, handle the complex edge cases AI can't manage, and devise novel strategies against AI-powered attackers. A recent ISC2 study actually highlighted this. Shift organizations are changing hiring strategies to find individuals who can work alongside AI and tackle these emerging, often ambiguous challenges. It's less about just configuring tools and more about strategic thinking and problem solving in partnership with the AI.
So it's about humans and AI working together, complementing each other's strengths. Interesting. Okay, any final thoughts as we wrap up this deep dive on where AI and cybersecurity is ultimately headed?
Well, I think it's clear AI is proving to be an incredibly powerful and rapidly advancing tool in the ongoing fight against cyber threats. Its ability to analyze massive data sets, automate complex responses, and even predict future attacks offers really significant advantages. However, as we've discussed, it's definitely not a silver bullet. It presents its own considerable set of challenges: data privacy, potential bias, adversarial manipulation, implementation hurdles, ethical considerations. The ongoing evolution of both AI-powered attacks and defenses means that continuous learning, adaptation, and a strong ethical grounding will be absolutely essential for staying ahead or even just staying secure in this incredibly dynamic landscape. It's a dual-edged sword, really.
A powerful tool, but one that needs careful handling and constant vigilance. It's a continuous cycle of innovation on both sides of the digital battlefield. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive. A huge thanks for joining us today as we explored the fascinating, complex, and rapidly evolving world of AI-powered cybersecurity. Something to think about. As these AI-driven attacks become ever more sophisticated, how will our defenses need to evolve, and what role do you, as an individual or within your organization, see yourself playing in navigating this future?